All right, I'm gonna call the meeting of the Board of Health to order in the absence of a member that's gonna arrive shortly. Roll call.
Christian, remember me as
Vice
vice chair.
There's Paul. Come on in, Paul. See that? 1 minute late. You gotta love it.
I knew the door. I could tell it was Paul.
Hi, for you. Good seeing you. Good seeing you, Jim.
Okay, Carla, first order of business.
Your agenda.
You grab that. I'm sorry.
All right.
By the way, you're here now, Paul, so say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're gonna go over the tobacco regulation update for the public hearing. Nobody is here and, oh, she's gone.
Nope, I'm here.
You're here, okay.
Yep, I'm here.
We're all here now, so you can tell us what you have to tell us.
Oh, me?
Can they turn that up?
Okay. So right now we posted, can you hear me?
Can you guys hear it? Cause I'm having a hard time. Go ahead, I'll do my best.
Do you want to sit over here, Jim?
I might move the chair here.
Is there a volume over here?
You're gonna be getting into vapes too tonight, right? You're
I'm
gonna
sorry?
be getting into vapes also?
I'm confused at what you're asking me. I'm gonna be what?
Are we gonna be discussing vapes tonight, flavored vapes that are being sold to the children?
We can, if it's on the agenda, we can discuss whatever the board wants to discuss with tobacco control. Yep,
Okay,
yep, we can talk about that, absolutely.
all
So,
right, you can start the show. Let's see what you got to say.
okay, so basically, the board held a hearing and they continued it over 2 dates. And they heard what retailers had to say, and they have a draft before them. And in the proposed draft, what we need to do now is answer any board questions and make a motion to pass it as presented at the hearing, or to pass it including some things and not other things, depending on what the board's wishes and desires are. And the new things were no permit renewal if there was 3 sales to a person under the age of 21 within a 12-month permitting period. You prohibited smoking bars. We limited the draft limited oral nicotine pouches to adult-only stores. And then it wasn't a change in the reg, but the board made a decision to leave the local regs, the local portions of the regulation to be 100 to 300, and all state violations are required to be 1,000 to 5,000. So we just left the local components of your regs to still be 100, 200, 300 instead of increasing the fines.
You guys hear this one?
I can hear it, yeah.
So the things to vote on, you could vote on the new things individually, or if you have any questions, I can answer any questions you may have, or you guys have discussion amongst each other. You can make a motion to pass the draft as presented in the hearing, or you can make a motion to pass each new component.
Where does the board wanna go on that?
I think the board should vote on its entirety. I mean, I think we've been debating this back and forth. I propose a motion to vote in its entirety for the tobacco regulations.
I second it.
And you second that, all in
Yes.
favor?
Aye.
Now, do you have any questions about what's going on here on top of this?
She was pretty clear.
She's pretty clear.
Yes.
Okay, this is strictly the tobacco regs. This has nothing to do with the vape regs, because we're gonna wait for that, because the state's working on that as we speak.
Okay.
So the state will be taking control, and then we can go upon the recommendation of the state at that time.
Okay.
Okay, I think we've adopted everything you're talking about at this point.
Okay, so Carla has a copy as if it was adopted as presented at the hearing. Carla has a clean copy to sign. And then I'll send her the legal notice, and she knows everywhere it needs to be posted and sent to. And then we will next week on Monday, we will hand deliver it to every retailer and they will receive the legal notice, the regulation, and we'll have a signature signing that they received it. And then that wraps that up. But if you want to talk about a vape issue, I'm available to talk about it, or I can come back to another meeting.
What do you know about the state? Where's the state going with the vape regulations?
Right now, the state has a state law that restricts all flavored vape, and it limits the nicotine content, but there's no new proposal on state vape. So I'm not sure what you're exactly.
Where we're going as far as our underage children getting hold of these vapes and taking them to a public school.
Right. So if there's an issue of kids getting vapes, we can work with the school and we can work with retailers. We are doing youth access compliance checks in your community, and we do have the youth go in and ask for vape. If a youth gets caught with vape in school and they happen to tell what store it was bought in, we can do additional inspections in that store, and we can also ask the FDA inspectors and state inspectors to do additional inspections too. So it would be considered like a special investigation. And one of the things that we have to worry about is, kids may get vape in school and they may not necessarily be getting it. They could be getting it from an older sibling. They could be getting it from somebody who's old enough to drive to New Hampshire, buy it, bring it back. And unfortunately, there's been some online purchasing that has slipped through the cracks. Massachusetts has cracked down on online purchasing. So there's been some of that, and it's been brought to our attention, not in Townsend, but in other communities, that people set up a garage or a living room and they go get the products, and then they invite people to come to their house, and it's set up like a garage store or whatnot.
Really?
Wow. Yeah. So it's a multifaceted problem, and it may not be just that they're being able to buy them in your local stores. But if lots of times we'll get a complaint from a parent, I caught vape and my kid drove them to the store themselves and they sold it right in front of me. We do an investigation on that store. If some schools have a suspension policy or some sort of punishment, and if the kids tell where they bought the vape for the very first time, they'll report it to us, and then the kid, gets a warning instead. And then the second time they get whatever the penalty is based on the school policy. So we weren't aware of any specific complaints in the Townsend school. So we would be very happy to take a look if there's issues or complaints. We could meet with the school. We could take a look at things and see where we could help out with a special investigation or an extra compliance check and whatnot.
I have a question, if I may, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Has it come to the attention that criminal charges are being charged to the parents? I mean, what is the involvement of the parents I know that this hasn't occurred here in Townsend, but where it has occurred, would that entail some sort of criminal charges or something like that for the parents?
It's not a criminal charge. It's a charge in your regulation, no person, and that includes parents. Under the old state law, parents could furnish tobacco in an odd twist because the wording wasn't right. But in the new state law, no person, and that defines individual, body, and it captures that. If we had direct evidence that a parent was supplying vape to their child, the board could issue them $1,000 to $5,000 fine, just as we do a retailer for selling it in any other circumstance. So that's technically, it's never happened. But there are some parents who have provided vape to their kids because they feel, well, at least my kid is only vaping and they're not doing heroin or they're not doing other drugs, not really understanding the impact that that's a violation of the state law. But any fine over $300 turns into a criminal sanction. So if you gave a violation order of $1,000 to a parent providing tobacco to their child and they don't pay it, it defaults into a criminal charge for non-pay, and they don't pay it if they ignore it and we bring them to court. It would be seen before a judge as a criminal citation, not a clerk magistrate as a non-crim.
How do you enforce that?
How do we enforce that? We've never had that situation come up yet where we've had evidence or caught a parent doing it. I don't know. you know, if kids are saying, oh, my parents bought it for me, I don't know. We would have to have direct evidence that it was happening. It can't be hearsay and it can't be because someone said so. We would have to have some sort of direct evidence, either parent admission or the student coming forward and saying, my mom buys it for me. And then we'd have to conduct an investigation and there would have to be some compelling evidence in order for us to go that far into a parent. Theoretically,
That will be included, even an adult. It doesn't have to be the parent, but
No,
to any
no, it
adult.
so if a 21-year-old is providing to an 18-year-old, somebody under the age, you could fine them $1,000 to $5,000 under the law. But we would have to have direct evidence and knowledge, either through undercover buy or videotape that somebody. It would have to be compelling evidence that they.
Possible to
It's
prove.
just like police. You can't on hearsay arrest somebody for drug dealing. You have to be able to prove that it occurred before they can arrest somebody for it. But it isn't. It would be a citation from the Board of Health, and then it defaults through the appeals process, either by non-payment or whatnot. It eventually ends up before a judge as a criminal sanction.
So
I'm hoping,
it's not
you know,
criminal if they don't pay the fine, basically, that the Board of Health would issue, correct?
So if they don't pay the fine, say we issued somebody a fine and they don't pay it, we hold a non-payment hearing at your Board of Health. They send them formal notice. They don't show up. Then we file with the court and we file before a judge as a non-payment hearing. And then we go to a hearing before the judge. And because the state fines are $1,000, we can't go to a clerk magistrate because only non-criminal disposition tickets under $300 can go to a clerk magistrate. These are very, you know, these are technically what happens if all the proof is there. And because it's a criminal, these 1,000 to 5,000, when you have a non-criminal disposition ticket, you just have to prove it's more probable than less probable it happened. When you go for the $1,000 to $5,000 fine, you have to dot all your I's and cross all your T's and leave no doubt that it happened. So before a judge, you have to show evidence that it occurred, not that it occurred more likely than less likely. So the burden of proof is higher on the $1,000 to $5,000 tickets that brings you before a judge.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Mhm.
No? Going back to the vape, when do you think the state's gonna expedite some regulations on the vaping, and will we be able to actually ban vaping products being sold in Townsend?
Well, the state already passed the comprehensive law in 2020. I don't see that being amended anytime soon. And it was groundbreaking to ban the flavored vapes. And it was also, you know, the state smoking law. You can't vape anywhere where the smoking law applies either. So there's some, you know, progressive things here that have been done. What we have done in Townsend to combat vape is we require them to show us the FDA approval or they can't have that product in the store. And that has gotten rid of the Craves, the Shirley from Bricks, all these counterfeit products that have come in, and the stores have removed them because when they go to the manufacturer, they got the flavor verification, but they didn't. So a lot of these products that are appealing to the kids that claim that they're not flavored and have been removed from the stores. We still have to do an inspection in Townsend, but right now we're 180 store inspections in and we only found one violation. So we're in pretty good shape because once we required them, and what the federal FDA approval is, it's an approval to market or a pre-marketing tobacco application approval. If you don't have either one of those approvals from the FDA, your vape product is a black market product not allowed in the US, not just in Townsend, not allowed in Hawaii, Alaska, Rhode Island, or Massachusetts. So we are now requiring anybody selling vape to show us proof of FDA, PMTA letters, and they come on FDA letterhead and they put the STN application number. So I could go right into the FDA and put that number in and know that that product is legit and it's not a fake letter. Because it comes out, there's one letter, template letter, and it comes out on FDA letterhead. And you would have, you know, nobody can counterfeit that because you would have to be the business to have the STN number. So that is something that we have done. What that does is it takes it out of the stores. It doesn't take it if youth are accessing it and getting it some other way. Townsend's not that far from New Hampshire. Anybody, any 21-year-old with a car can go up to New Hampshire, come back, sell it to their siblings, set up a little store. I mean, that's another issue. It doesn't mean that we can't help work on it and bring awareness to it and see what we can do about it. But even a state law, it doesn't really stop that type of black market things that are going on.
All right. Any questions, guys? No, Joan, I think you've done a great job. I think that's all you can give your services for this evening.
Can I just ask you one question?
Absolutely.
Has the school reported to you that the youth, they're confiscating the flavored vapes?
Absolutely not.
No,
So is there any formal complaint about the vapes, or it's just general knowledge that the kids are accessing them?
No formal complaints.
no formal complaints. No, it's just the fact that we're gonna do everything we can to restrict it, because I know what happens to these kids that are vaping, and it's an addiction that's something very, very difficult for them to break. So it's my opinion, I hope the board agrees with me, that if we could stop the sales of these and limit them the best we can for the children getting to purchase them, we're gonna do a big asset to the town of Townsend and North Middlesex Regional School.
Absolutely. And I will make sure that at our next youth access check that they're specifically asking for vape, because sometimes they ask for a cigar, sometimes they ask for pouch tobacco. But we'll focus in a little bit more on vape in Townsend to try to assess the problem. But if anything comes up, right after the first of the year, we will be available to work on some maybe educational things that we can put on the website and send out through the school, so parents are more aware what to look for.
Excellent.
All right, okay. Any other
Okay.
questions, anybody? Kyle, anything to add? Questions?
No, excellent. Thank you, Joan.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're all set. We'll talk to you, probably in February. Maybe sooner. I gotta take a brief recess.
Okay. It turned out she was holding it for somebody because their parents were.
It's
Yeah,
recorded.
and she got it from.
My son, when he was a junior in high school, and we're talking several years ago, was driving home and I got a call from the principal and she was contacting the tobacco agent. And I'm like, yes, that's, well, she called me to tell me that my son was in the office and that she had a problem. And she said, I don't know if you are familiar with the tobacco regulations, but they're really strict in Townsend. And I said, I know what the tobacco regulations are. And one of the tobacco agents, we're going to have a problem. So we came up, there was, I believe it was a pipe, not a vape. And they believe that there was some type of cannabis that was in it. Everyone said nobody knew why they were in the bathroom. They all just ended up there at the same time. Nobody was talking, and they took all the phones from the kids and they said, we need your permission to open up his phone because we think that they all sent messages to each other saying what time to go into the bathroom. So I went to my son and I said, I'm going to give, and he said, you can't do that. That's an invasion of my privacy. I said, well, did you do anything wrong? And he said, no, I didn't. And I said, well, if you didn't do anything wrong, Brian, why won't you let me give him the phone? He said, I will not. And I said, okay, well, then you're going to be charged just as if you had it. I mean, there's nothing. And he's like, you're the tobacco agent, Mom. You have to. And I said, exactly. So that's why we have to do this. So the person who had it was suspended for 2 weeks. And they came back to me and they said, we can't really do anything about it. And I said, you're going to suspend it. You want us? How's he gonna learn?
You're right.
He's sitting here thinking he's got it made because mom's got this job. No. Even then, for him to play hockey, he had to play another sport in the fall, or else he could only play 1/4 of the time in hockey. So he learned his lesson.
Wow.
And it was a very hard thing for me to do, but I did it.
I took my food till late today, not just going through.
It's okay. We had a nice little conversation.
Yeah, good.
You have 4 for you to sign.
Okay,
Oh, wait, yeah.
I'm on my way.
So one is the BEP grant, which is the public health emergency.
Oh, I meant the tobacco.
Yep, and there's another one on top of
Okay, all
it.
right.
So, and that's the grant letter before you came in. It's a
Okay.
grant that goes to the Neshoba Board of Health. And they support 17 different towns, so the director, Jim Gariffi, is asking for all of the towns to give a support letter. If we support it, we definitely get a lot of good things that come from that.
Okay.
So now we are into receipt books for the recycling center, which is doing fabulous. So it's just a regular receipt book for them. And it just shows what
Yep.
their carbon copies. We have some Staples bills that were lost in a black hole somewhere, but they're for toner. One of them was a weekly planner for last year. Toner. So, it equals out, and then we had a credit for $15.29 because I think I had a stapler that wasn't working, so I returned it. So the total bill here is
You
$127.24.
call that a signature?
So,
Felt it in third grade.
the account for that. The recycling employees have asked for gloves and hats. I think it's more than appropriate for them.
I guess.
No, regular like fleece hats. So when it's snowing out, we did get them the raincoats. I think they were so excited with the raincoats. They're like, can we get some gloves and hats? And absolutely, I think it says that their job description is in inclement weather. I think it's our responsibility to make sure that they have things for that. Our lovely mobile telephone bill. So I don't have to use my personal cell phone in case something comes up. And I used a little bit of my clothing allowance at the tune of $209 for a couple of sweatshirts and a pair of jeans that will work. I have $850 in there. Just to show you one of the things that I got. Check out these hunter boots. Are they not great? Clearance. I never shop them. But these are great. Are you kidding me? When I was at the recycling center today, and I had my raincoat and I had this with the mud and everything, these are super. I'm very happy that
Louis Vuitton.
and Hunter, I guess. So I've got more compliments on
Oh,
these.
yeah, right.
But they're really comfortable and they're waterproof and they're what we need there.
Okay.
So, and then, we had a little hornet infestation up in the attic at the recycling center,
Yeah, but when? We're out of horn season.
I think it was last month in August or September when the weather got really
Really?
warm. Yeah, they got up in the eaves, they watched them. They're like, where are they going?
They were
So-
happening for the winter.
They were getting ready to,
Yeah.
Well, not anymore, they're gone. And then, the grant is going to pay $18.81, small scale grant, because I needed to get masking tape to tape up the bulbs that goes, for the disposal from the recycling center.
okay.
And that's all that I have. Our next meeting is scheduled for December 24th, so I'm thinking you're going to want to go to the next meeting, which would be January 14th. If that pleases the board.
So it's not gonna be the 10th?
Oh, I'm sorry. The next meeting is the 10th, but then after that, I was ahead. I was going, okay, next meeting. So the meeting after the 10th is gonna be the 24th, which nobody's gonna want to meet on Christmas Eve.
We can have a party.
Who's gonna come? You're gonna be with all your kids.
Yeah, good point. Might want to get away. Right?
So I don't see that, I see where Rick doesn't have anything. There is a possibility that he might ask for a meeting on the 10th.
Okay,
Of December?
Yeah.
We have that already, don't we?
yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong month.
January.
Yeah, January. Okay,
So what would
so
be-
he might look for it on the 7th versus the 14th,
Okay,
if something comes up that he doesn't want to wait.
I will not be available for 2 weeks in January. I'm getting on a big bird and flying to Florida. So
Okay,
if Rick's got something, he's gonna have to have these other two board members that have to sign that.
okay. And he can also, we can have him sign out of meeting. The only problem with that would be if there was a variance to a subject that needed to have a public hearing, so the abutters could come in and discuss it.
I'm gone the 19th through the 25th myself. Of January.
Okay, and then the other Tuesday is the 31st, so you're obviously not gonna wanna have anything on there. Maybe, I'm back in January, I'm
Yeah, you're wrong,
December, I'm so
fella.
sorry. So you're not but you're not gonna have anything on the 31st because that's
New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve. So that leaves the 7th, the 14th, and then the 21st and the 28th. Your meeting should be the 14th and the 28th, but we're going to keep the public informed with schedules, how
Yeah,
that's
I
gonna
won't
work
be
out. in
here on the
January.
14th and the 24th, of the 21st. I won't be here. I'm leaving the 8th and I'm coming back the 24th.
Okay,
That's where I'm at, guys.
okay,
Okay, nice.
okay.
Lucky you. Awesome.
I owe it to myself.
All right.
I owe it to myself.
Okay.
And with the permission of from the chairman, I want to bring something up regarding a topic that we talked about. I think it was over a month or 2 months ago regarding the handling of the needle process. I don't know if you remember that the police have brought to Carla the needles on a bag. I don't know if you remember that time.
Yeah.
I don't know if we should approve, not talk about in this meeting, but to think about talking about a possible protocol that instead of if something happens, that particular situation that they brought that to Carla, to have us send it over to, I don't know, some professional like the EMTs or something like that to handle those needles and dispose them.
Fire department.
Well, this is, I just disposed of a ton of
Yeah.
them today. The problem is they were coming in just a, Ziploc bag.
Mhm.
Which could, so what I can ask is we could set up a protocol for the police station and the fire department that when they come in, that they need to make sure, and I have the sanitary disposal, the Sharps containers.
Okay.
So I can hand them that and say, could you please put the needles in these before I take them?
Okay, that makes
How's
sense.
that?
I think because what we want to avoid is that something happens in the disposing and that occurs as like a custom from the police to bring it back here. I mean, and at least if we have something safe to
Sure.
keep them and not avoid that situation that happened
Okay.
during that time.
Similar
That's a
to a
great idea.
Tupperware container possibly, plastic container with a lid on it.
Yeah, as long as Carla doesn't have to, or anybody has to put their hands on the needles. I mean, not just, oh, here it is, bye. I left it to you, bye.
I think
No.
that's a good idea, Kristen.
Yep.
So
Yeah, we'll set up a protocol and we'll send it out. I'll draft something up and I'll have it for the meeting on the 10th. How's that?
because I think that
Sharps has containers, right? They could just give you an extra container.
Well, we have to buy the
You
containers,
buy
which
it.
is why I charge $5 for people to dispose of them, but the fire department and the police department come in and they just expect us to just take them. The other thing that we could do is say, look, you're gonna have to give us $5 to put them in this container because I have to give you this container because I can't take them in the plastic bag. But then again, we're robbing Peter to pay Paul. It's all coming out of the same fund. So
Okay.
how do we really want to charge you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. It's.
So, I
put 'em in
think
a
that
purple bag and.
but I think for the next meeting,
the
I'm
other
gonna start with
thing,
those today.
the other thing that you could do is you could possibly give the fire department and the police department one of the actual Sharps container and say, if
Mhm.
you have these, put them in here and when it's full, bring it to me.
I think that sounds that sounds like like a more functioning idea, and of course, have it on writing and send it to the police, to everybody that is in charge of that, because the thing is that, bringing it, I mean, I know that there's a mailbox here or something where you dispose from the sharps, but not, I just want to avoid what happened that other time, and I was thinking about it, and we shouldn't just,
You're safe.
You wanna make that effective for January first?
I think we should make it effective for January the 1st.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, we'll get that on the agenda for
I
the
don't think
next
that needs
meeting.
a motion, I think that's maybe just done.
Okay,
Yeah, I like that.
all right.
Good idea. Anything else anybody's gotta bring in front of the board?
I present a motion to adjourn the Board of Health meeting.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion, Board of Health
Nays?
is adjourned.